Right, quick update on my MSc. Last night I actually read one paper and skimmed through a couple of others, so that's really good. I was going to do a little synopsis of each one. I got really excited as I was reading the first one, which was talking about process consultancy, which might sound a little bit sad, but as I was reading about process consultancy, I was thinking about how it related to working in service user or lived experience as a lived experience consultant or as a service user consultant, and thinking about how the two processes were very similar. So that was quite interesting for me anyway. And the other thing I was thinking about as well was a few other things that I've done which are really helping me to get this MSc done. And one of them has been being part of an MSc WhatsApp group with other MSc students. I've got to admit, I've avoided that group for ages. I haven't even looked at the updates because it keeps been people saying, oh yes, I've got my MSc, you know, I've just had the thing through, I've got a master's, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I haven't done mine yet, I've got to get it done. So I've avoided that a little bit. However, because I decided that I really needed to get on with it and get stuff done, I went on and kind of said hello and asked for some papers and started rejoining the group and chatting again. So that's been good. And also I've spoken to one person in the group who is very sadly leaving the country soon, and she's having a leaving stroke birthday party which I'm going to on Sunday. But I think that would be really helpful to kind of reconnect with her and also other people who are part of the MSc group too. So there's something about having that human contact and other people kind of pushing on for like, we've got to get this done, and also talking to her about the consultancy module that I'm trying to get the assignment in for. She's offered to send her consultancy one over so I can have a look at it, and also we've just been encouraging each other really, which has been really helpful. And it made me think back to one of the things that has kind of prompted me to again just really start in earnest on doing this. I was thinking about how other people can be really helpful, as in like, you know, just encouraging you and helping you to get on with stuff. And one of my friends came around specifically on Saturday to really to encourage me with my MSc, because I said to her, well, what I could really do with is if I kind of sit down, do a load of reading, and then kind of have someone to come around and talk to about it afterwards. So I thought, that would be really helpful. And then what happened was I realised that I couldn't find any of my papers because I put them in such a fucking safe place. I can't find them. And and then I thought, oh, it's okay, don't panic, just print it out. And then I realised that I'd saved all of my papers that I needed to my works computer, and of course it was a weekend, so I wasn't at work, so I couldn't access them. So anyway, I've managed to email myself all of my papers over from work, and also I've printed out my papers that I need, which is great. So I've restarted on that again. But anyway, on the weekend I was thinking to myself, oh, my friends offered to come over, and I haven't even I haven't got anything to show. It's like every time I've tried to start on doing my MSc again, something's happened or something's got in the way, or there's a block. And I've noticed this each time I've set something aside to try and get it done. So I'd noticed that, and also thought, well, how can we use this time and space that we set aside to actually do something towards the MSc, because I'd had nothing to talk to her about. So we thought about putting this plan in action. So we came up with a little plan, because I was struggling with things. The first stage on the plan was to locate my papers, which I've done. The other thing that I need to do is to get a framework sent off for my first assignment, get that completed and done. To do that, I'm going to need to basically skim the papers to find ones that are relevant, which I've started doing, which is great. So the plan is this week to get that done and dusted and then send off to my tutor, and also to make sure that I've finished this assignment by the end of April, and I'm on to the dissertation in kind of May and June. So yeah, not much to do. But the other thing we were thinking about as well was actually what keeps you going with all this. And one of the things that I'd really thought about was that actually when I've done particularly well at things, it has been because I've been able to take a step back and also look after myself first. Because what I find is that when for instance, this worrying about finishing this MSc has become so crippling that basically I haven't been doing it, but I haven't been doing anything else because I feel guilty doing anything else. So I've kind of gradually stopped doing a lot of things that that I like doing, or I've been kind of distracting myself with things that don't help. But it's kind of ended up being paralysing. So what we thought is we've got to actually acknowledge what I can things that I can do that will then inspire me or give me the energy to actually do the MSc. Does that make sense? Yeah. So little things like looking after yourself. So one of the ways that I look after myself, which is going to sound a bit bit sad. Right, I've got these. I have shed loads of meds to take every day. As you can see by looking at this, it's something that I struggle to do. I often forget when I've taken them, or I'm a bit like an old woman who basically either forgets to take her meds or take them like 3 times because you can't remember taking them. So rather pathetic, which seems for someone who is neither old nor a child. However, that's one of the the joys of what I live with. So I've got one of these wonderful My Med pack things, which basically let me know whether I've taken them or not. And the good thing is, if you look on this, I've been taking them, which is good. So that's great. That's one thing that helps. Another thing as well is that naturally I'm quite creative, and basically I've not been doing anything creative because I've been feeling guilty, because I've been thinking, oh yeah, I should be doing my MSc. So one of the things we kind of allowed in this plan was actually to have some room for creativity, and that actually brings me back to the first module that we did on our MSc, which was about different styles of learning and learning about personality disorder, and thinking about how people learn and take in information as adults as opposed to children. So it's kind of like pedagogy versus andragogy or something or other, and kind of thinking about self-negotiated learning. So for myself, I know that one of the ways that I learn or function is that I tend to struggle with attention, particularly as I've got older, and concentration, and also needing to have like almost spikes of what's it called? Spikes of energy or creativity or something to really try and hold that attention to get stuff done. But anyway, what I find is that when I listen to that and allow an outlet or do something, it helps other aspects of my life. When I block it and think, actually no, I can't do that, I can't do something fun because I need to do something boring that I don't really want to do, I don't end up doing that, and also I don't end up doing the fun stuff, and then I don't end up doing anything, so I'm just sat staring into space, dissociating, not doing anything. So one of the things that we allowed in our kind of plan to try and get stuff done was to allow a bit of creativity in there. So this is like a little card thing I've done. I'm interested in kind of family history and genealogy, and I've, as part of the research I've done, I've located a family member that I'm going to contact. So this was just basically doing a little, just doing like a little, making a little card, which didn't take very long, and was done using some materials that I'd already got, so it didn't really cost me anything. And also, what else? It's kind of sentimental too, because it's done using some of the fabric that I'd collected for my wedding dress for my wedding. So it's kind of like, you know, got a few things going on there. The other thing that I plan to do as well, I'm just going to show you my mother. I don't know if you can see this actually. No, probably not, because I've got these buddy lights on, which that's better. There we go. So this is my rather bonkers, creative, crazy bed. Now, there's something about me where I struggle to do stuff at home, and part of that comes from having a probably, you know, difficult, traumatic home life, what have you. So I really struggle to function at home for whatever reason. So part of me is kind of a little bit obsessed with trying to make a really nice home atmosphere. Doesn't always work, and to be honest, a lot of the time I still sit at home basically not functioning and really struggling. However, one of the things that I've noticed a pattern with is that I tend to start off doing things and then struggle to finish. So I'll start a lot of projects and not get them finished, which is kind of it relates to the MSc that I'm doing, doesn't it? Because I'm struggling to finish it. So what is great about what I've done in here is this is an example of something that I've actually finished. So I'm just going to show you this. This is like this actually was some fabric that I got off eBay. Basically, you see this kind of like really funky bed. I got it off Gumtree. It took me like forever to actually get the room cleared out and then you know, put the bed up and what have you. And anyway, this is I got this fabric, and the fabric was supposed to go. It's supposed to be curtains. However, what I realised, actually I've got two windows and I only had enough fabric for one window. So instead of using its curtain fabric, I thought, you know what, it goes really nicely with this bed thing, so why not put it up on the wall as wallpaper. And what you'll notice as well is that because I'm rather extra, and because you know, obviously just putting it up as wallpaper was not enough. No, I had to add lots of little diamonds and pearls and things and embellish it and make it really pretty and nice. And then the other thing as well that you'll notice here is I used my DIY skills and a drill and started to and then I put up my I put up these were Poundland Special, and they I got some paint from Poundland and painted them white because they were black, and just basically put it up. And yeah, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that basically within the kind of like little within the plan, I'd started off doing this room, and the one thing that I had to finish was putting those bloody like light things up. So I've put them up, and kind of like the room is finished and it feels really nice. And it's the place, you know, it's nice enough to kind of sit in and read my what are they called, my papers. So the idea is like, hopefully every night before I go to sleep I will like read a paper or something, and you know, maybe do a little video and just say, you know, what I've read about. So the thing is, they are kind of linked in a way. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, the other thing that I was thinking of as well is that I've noticed that one of the joys of living with kind of like a mixture of sort of bipolar personality disorder, complex mental health issues, whatever you want to call it, is that at one time there were lots of different what they call maladaptive coping mechanisms that I could rely on to help. Now, you know, I try so hard to keep away from those, and kind of it doesn't really leave you with a lot of ways to cope. So what I've noticed, that I've been drinking a huge amount of coffee, which combined with a gastric bypass has meant that it gives me these kind of really twittery energy surges, and but to the point where actually if you're having kind of like, you know, 4 to 6 equivalent shots of coffee, you know, in an hour, that's not really very good. And also it kind of it leaves me feeling quite sick and jittery and lightheaded and not good. Now, coffee isn't really it sounds a bit mad to kind of like even equate that with any kind of self-harm, but either way it's kind of like it's having an impact and it doesn't feel good. So what I've limited myself to 1 coffee this morning and take my meds with this, like, I don't know what were you think that I got out of Heron Feeds for, you know, 5 for £1 or whatever. So it's just like, it's just kind of little things like that where I'm just trying to make a bit of a difference. Trying to think, is there anything else? Oh yeah, one other thing, and anybody who is kind of like critical of there's a lot of groups that I'm part of that are mental health activist groups, and people are going to hate me for saying this. However, and I'm going to say this as like a bit of a caveat. I'm not into like you know, mindfulness or kind of like really what's the word, you know, sometimes people give sort of these generic little coping mechanism things that kind of don't take into account that actually you're see, I'm trying to justify myself here, but basically what I'm trying to say is I've been using the Headspace mindfulness app. Look how I'm feeling guilty for because part of the difficulty I have is that I dissociate a lot, and I struggle with actually kind of being in the present and blah blah blah, and look how guilty I'm feeling. So yeah, so I do I've been kind of like prescribed sort of mentalness, not mentalness, mindfulness as part of the which goes in line with the therapy that I'm receiving. So it's done in a you know, quite a thought out way, and it's a way of that I'm going to be able to use to go through trauma therapy as a way of helping to get through that. Anyway, it's kind of like it's thought through, and it's not kind of like done glibly. However, what I found was that just to bolster that up a little bit, I've been using the Headspace app, and I haven't used it now for like over a month, 2 months, and I've noticed the difference. I really have, and anyway, from today I'm planning to just do a bit every day, kind of like, you know, just a few minutes. And the idea is to just try and clear my head of thinking just for a bit, because currently my mind is buzzing all the time, to the point where sometimes I can't function or speak or do anything. So it's really just trying to stop it and quieten it for a little bit, and just getting used to that. And what I'm hoping is that it will help me to then be able to kind of, I don't know, do stuff like read, you know, or write my assignment. So anyway, those are some of the little things that I thought I'd mention, just because you know, they may help. But I'm going to say, well, I'm trying them, and I'm going to see how they help me with learning, and also, you know, if it's something that's useful for anyone else. But I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm at today, and I'll keep going, and you know, just mention anything else that I find helps or doesn't help along the way.